for the information that they provide. And today we wanted to give them a little bit of time to talk about what their office does and where you can have resources to help you out when you tackle some of these tough land use decisions. So without further ado, I will throw the ball to Brent, and we'll allow them to give their presentation. If you have questions, once again, type those into the chat box. And I will relay those questions to them throughout the course of the presentation. At the end, we'll have a question and answer session, but don't wait till the very end. Send those in so we can work on those as in a timely manner. All right, looks like your presentation is up there. You guys, is it working okay on your end?
See my happy smiling face.
You should be able to see that up on the big screen behind.
I can see that. I want to smile and say hello to everyone. How do I do that?
They can see you.
Can they see me?
Yes.
Can they see me when I have this up?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Great. Hello, everybody. How are you? It's great to see you today. It's great to be here. I'd like to thank the Trust for inviting us here today. Especially, I'd like to thank Jason for his help and for his invitation and for being so accommodating to us. My name is Brent Bateman. I am the lead attorney in the Utah office of the Property Rights Ombudsman. I am pretty sure that I have the longest job title. It's great to see you. I see from the list of attendees, I do know some of you. Those of you who I know, hello, it's good to see you again. Those of you who I don't know, I can only assume that means two things. One is that you are never in trouble. And if you're never in trouble, good for you. But all that means is that I will get to know you someday, because someday you probably will be. Or it also could mean that you're trying to avoid me, which I could understand, because I am an attorney, and I only come and call you probably when you are in trouble. So understand trying to avoid me, but believe me, I'm a nice guy. Hopefully that once you do get to know me a little bit, you won't be nearly as horrified. Anyway, I've been the lead attorney on the Office of Property Rights Ombudsman for nearly 9 years now. I really enjoy this job, and I enjoy being able to help folks. The purpose of our office is to help people, help citizens and government not end up in lawsuits with each other. We are really not affiliated at all with the Trust here. In talking to the folks at the Trust, we've discovered that we have a lot in common, and one serious thing that we have in common is just that, the desire to help you stay out of court and help you not get in a bunch of lawsuits with your citizens, especially over land use. And so when we realized we had that in common, we decided that this would be a beneficial partnership. We could help them out by doing some of these webinars. They could help us out by getting our name out there and helping us help you find ways to resolve disputes and solve a lot of problems. And so we're very grateful for the Trust and the partnership we have with them and so forth. Really appreciate that. So first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce the new attorney in my office. He's been working for us for not quite a month. I'm going to tell you who he is and so forth. You may get a call from him sometime. You may meet him at some seminar or something, but he's my new guy, and he's really working out great. This is Jordan Collymore. Jordan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Jordan, like Brent said. There we go. Yeah. I was actually born and raised here in Utah. Grew up in Linden, Utah. Excited to be here. I got an undergraduate degree in political science, and then went to a law school in Texas, Lubbock, Texas, at Texas Tech University. Coming out of law school, I began my career actually in community development, first for Provo City as a planning technician, and then subsequently for Linden City as a city planner. So I have kind of on the ground experience working with in local government with staff, planning commission, city councils, boards of adjustment, different elected and appointed officials, and as well as citizens and developers. And so since then I've come here, and I'm excited to be involved in any way I can. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. Hopefully Jordan will do a good enough job that I don't have to fire him and we'll have to find somebody else. So far so good, right?
That's right.
Trust has been very kind to us today, because what they've done, usually when we have these seminars, we will take a subject of the substantive land use law and we'll discuss it in some detail, and we're kind of walk through, the legal implications of different decisions that a local government might make. What they've allowed us to do today is they've allowed us to come in and just basically make a shameless plug for our office. This is a beneficial thing, because as I said, we're trying to help do the same thing they are, and trying to help avoid lawsuits and avoid problems and avoid a lot of loss on your city's part. And our office has a lot of resources and a lot of ways that we can help do that. Not everyone is familiar with what we do. And so we wanted to take this opportunity to just sit and explain exactly what we do and exactly how our process works, and let you know some of the tools that we have that can be helpful to you. Because, hopefully we can be a valuable resource. I think some of you have used us before, hopefully have found us to be helpful, especially in terms of not, resolving problems and resolving disputes. So the trust has allowed us to spend our time today doing that. Next time when we come back, we'll about some substantive legal topics. And if you'd like us to focus on any one upcoming substantive legal topic, just contact me and let me know, because I'm happy to talk about anything. And how we can help you, that's what we want to talk about today. Now, this slide that I have up right now, don't bother reading it. This is just to show you what our statute says. If you are a real crazy person who likes pain and agony, you feel free to read it, but I find that reading things like this are often, worse than root canal. But in the end of the day, this is the statute that gives our office its authority and tells us what we are supposed to do. And as with all government, we're limited to what our statute says. This is the authority that we have. Our office is a state office. We're located in the Department of Commerce, and the Office of the Property Rights Ombudsman has been around for about 16 or 17 years. It's a unique, very unique thing. 17 years ago, there was a lot of problems in the state with property rights, in particular with relation to eminent domain. Some entities were going around the state and causing problems, doing eminent domain in a way that wasn't very productive, certainly wasn't protective of people's property rights. And so the legislature got together and had a unique idea, and that's create this office. Since it was created all those years ago, it has gone through some evolution, as things will. Some things have been expanded, some things have been narrowed, some things have been focused, and it brings us to where we are today. Our job is to help governments and citizens know what property rights are and know how to protect them and make sure that the property rights of citizens get protected. Remember that property rights come from the Constitution of the United States, okay, and of the state of Utah. Property rights are a constitutionally granted right. That's important because, it's not just like, it's not just any old thing, If it comes from the Constitution, it's something we ought to pay attention to. And as government, you probably all are also property owners, okay? And so these property rights also protect you as citizens, okay? But don't forget that property rights is part of the Bill of Rights. And the reason for the Bill of Rights is to protect citizens from overreaching and evildoers in government, okay? That's the whole point of the Bill of Rights. Most of you, and I think maybe all of you, are government, right? You work for the government. Keep in mind that the Bill of Rights exists to protect citizens from you, okay? Not that I think you're evildoers, but it's, that's what it's there for. And property rights are there to protect people's property rights from the things that government might be tempted to do that are improper, okay? And so there's several things that we do, when we're trying to protect property rights, and there's several tools that we have that have kind of evolved with this office to kind of do that. But that's our main goal. our goal is not to make things difficult. Our goal is not to be obstructionists or make things difficult for government. We're trying to just make sure that property rights get protected. And really, you know, we should all be on the same page on that. As property owners, you should be on the same page on that. As government, you should be on the same page on that, you know, because property rights are a protected property right, constitutionally protected property right. There are 3 attorneys in my office. I'm one, Jordan's one, and Jim Wright is another. Jim Wright has been here for several of these webinars, so if you've been to any, you've certainly seen him. We are all attorneys, and we all do this full time. And we are all happen to be people who enjoy doing this kind of work, aren't we, Jordan?
That's right.
Which is weird because a lot of people think this is horrible and boring, but you know, you get people who are nerds about certain things, and this is a thing that we're kind of nerds about. You may be curious, attorney in our office named Elliot Lawrence recently left us. Jordan has replaced it. Elliot has gone on to much better and bigger paying things, so we're very happy for him. Anyway, so I want to get right into a discussion of what we can do for you, okay? You're a city or a county or, you know, your local government in some form, okay? We have certain tools that we use and we use every day. And these are the things that you can call on. You can come to us and you can ask for these services. And we can provide these services, and these services have proven over the years of all the time we've been doing this, all the 15 or 16 or 17 years we've been doing this, have proven to be effective, and so we've tried to strengthen the effective ones. But these are the things that you can rely on us for anytime. Okay. The first thing and most obvious thing is to answer questions. And if I were to say how I spend my day, most days it's on the phone. We're in our office and we're doing a lot of work, but our phone rings a lot. Most of the time it's citizens who have a question or maybe have a concern about their property rights, or maybe they feel like that some local government has not considered their side of the story or their property rights, and we answer those questions. But it's not exclusively that. Frequently, we get calls from local governments as well, mayors, planning commissioners, staff, attorneys, and you know, those folks, you know, are free to ask questions as well. We don't expect to be right with everything we think. I mean, if every attorney was right with everything that they thought, there wouldn't be any much call for an attorney. I mean, we're trained in law school to disagree with one another, and we get pretty good at it after a while. But we do this every day, and we do answer questions every day, and we do work in land use every day, and hopefully we can give good, credible, and responsible answers to whatever's asked. In the nearly 9 years I've been the ombudsman, I have been asked a lot of questions. I get asked certain questions again and again. Every once in a while, though, I get a new one, and I love that. I love that. I love the challenge of trying to figure out how the law applies to a new issue. No question is too silly. No question is too basic. I'm happy to answer any questions. There are some folks in this state, some local government folks, who call me fairly regularly, and kudos to them, because I know that, and not just through calling me, but I know that in general they have a desire to do the right thing. They have a desire to follow the law. They have a desire to avoid conflict and disputes, and calling me is one of the ways that they try to do that. And that to me is a great ethic. That's a great way to do business. Anyway, our phone number, I'll show you on the next slide, our phone number, where we're happy to answer any questions about land use law, property rights, just about anything, and we'll do whatever we can to try to help you. Jordan is new, and if you call him, he might say, let me put you on hold for a minute. If he does that, he's really coming to talk to me and ask me the question probably. But that's his secret. But eventually he'll, after answering a few 10,000 or 20,000 questions, he might start to get the hang of things. Isn't that right?
That's right.
All right. Another thing we can do, help with eminent domain. Now that seems kind of silly and counterintuitive, because help with eminent domain is, who wants help with eminent domain? Who wants to do eminent domain? You know, eminent domain is the government power to take property for public uses. But every once in a while, I don't care who you are, I don't care how small a town that you're in or where you're located, every once in a while, eminent domain may be something you need to turn to. We understand that. We are not trying to stop eminent domain from happening. What we're trying to make sure that is that eminent domain happens in accordance with the law and in accordance to the property owner's expectations, so it happens as smoothly and as without conflict as possible. And it's possible to do that. It's possible to do eminent domain without a lot of conflict, without a lot of lawsuits. But in order to do that, you need to understand the law and you need to understand some of the best practices that are going on. As far as local governments go, we're happy to help with that. We're happy to use our experience to say, if you do it this way, you're more likely to get settlements. You're more likely to have fewer disputes and fewer lawsuits, and we can sort of help you along the way with that. You know, hopefully you won't have to do a lot of eminent domain because it's never good. It's not good for the property owner, and it can be costly. But if you do find yourself in that position, we are happy to do it because we deal with a lot of eminent domain and we've seen the mistakes folks have made that cause problems. And we would like to help you to avoid those mistakes so that the process is as smooth as possible. The next thing we can do is we can provide mediation or arbitration services. This is valuable. You know, if you're having a dispute with a property owner over a land use issue, over a takings issue, over eminent domain, it's always a good idea, in my opinion, to suggest to them mediation. And you can use our office for that. Our office will travel to any area of the state and act as mediators, and there's no charge for that. There's no expense there. And we can come and we can help everyone around the room, sit in the same room, get around the table, and discuss the issues and hopefully resolve them without having to go to court. I've done hundreds and hundreds of these, and I'm a believer that there's no more effective way to resolve a dispute. You know, even a dispute that's coming on, that's not even a dispute yet, that's just sort of in its germination stage. Even that kind of thing, mediation can be helpful to sit down and talk and work things out before it gets out of control. And I'm always happy. I'm always happy to do that, as are the other attorneys and my staff. Advisory opinions. I'm sure some of you have experience with the advisory opinion process on our office, and Jordan's going to show you a little bit more about that in a second. But the advisory opinion process is a process where we take a dispute between the local government and a private property owner over some land use issue, and we look at both sides of the dispute and we issue an opinion where we try to predict what a court would say if it would go to court. Now, I'm sure that some of you have had experience with advisory opinions and thought they were great, and some of you have had experience with advisory opinions and thought that it's the worst thing that ever happened. And usually I find that's the case because, you know, it depends on whether or not the opinion went in your favor or not. But in any event, hopefully if we had one, it was helpful in avoiding, you know, litigation for you. And that's what we're trying to do. I can't say that with confidence that we've always been right in our advisory opinions, but we work hard on them and we try to be right. And we try to be as right as we can, because the more accurate we can get the opinion, the more likely it is to resolve a dispute. And Jordan will talk a little bit more about those advisory opinions in a second. Training. We regularly provide training. We travel to one side of the state to another, and we can sit down. One thing that we often do is we often come to planning commission meeting or city council meeting or maybe a joint meeting, and we can sit down at the end of a light agenda and spend an hour or 2 hours doing training on land use subjects, where we can talk about the things that that your planning commission or your city council are facing. You know, the issues that are coming up. Some people have a lot of subdivision applications. Some don't so much, but they have a lot of conditional use permit applications, or they have a lot of legal non-conforming use issues in their town. We are happy to come and provide you with training for any of those things, and we have done that all over the state. I'm coming to Monticello in a couple of weeks. I'm coming to St. George in a couple of weeks. I'm going to Logan to provide this kind of training, and we're happy to do that. And again, there's no charge for that. If you just want to contact me, let me know that you'd like training and what you'd like training about. We'll see if we can arrange a time to do it. We're very, very happy to do it. And finally, we can provide you with information and resources. And this is where I'm going to hand it over to Jordan, because we recently redid our website. And we've added a lot of information and resources to our website. And hopefully you've found that, and hopefully you've found that useful. If you haven't, I encourage you to spend some time there. What I'm going to ask you is that Jordan come over here, and we're going to bring our website up on the screen, and he is going to walk through some of the things on there. If you have any questions on our website, or you want to talk about any of this stuff, please, throw a question up for us. We'll be happy to respond to anything. So let me switch over to the website, and then we'll get Jordan over here under the.
As you're making your switch over, just a comment from the trust side of things. Generally where we see problems in land use, it's not something malicious that a land use authority's gone out and said we're going to get this guy, or we're going to do something to be a problem. Generally, it's just lack of knowledge on the subject, what they can legally do, and the appropriate ways to do these things. So
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more, Jason. In my observation, there are very, very few bad actors out there, and when property rights get violated, it's usually because of misunderstanding of some kind. And just as often as property rights actually get violated, just as often a property owner will call and say, my property rights get violated, and when I've looked at the situation, I will tell that person, no, they're not. The government is 100% within their rights to do it the way they're doing it. And I'll try to explain that to the person, and hopefully, usually that drops it. I mean, you never know, folks out there. I may have done you a lot of favors already by having people call me. I've explained it to them, and you haven't ever heard another thing about it. But I definitely do not think that the governments, and especially the local governments in the state, are out there doing evil deeds. My observation is most of them really want to do the right thing, and they're trying to do the right thing. And that's why they're participating in this webinar, and that's why they invite me for training, and that's why they call me and ask for questions. It's because they want to do the right thing, and I found that most folks are that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. We'll go ahead and move on to the website. I'm not half as good looking as Brent, so go ahead and turn your attention away from the webcam. Look to the website here. Like Brent said, the website was recently redesigned so that it's very user-friendly, accessible, and the good thing about it is whether you're on the web address. Yeah, so the web address for everyone who's looking for it is propertyrights.utah.gov, and that's hopefully easy to remember and easy to find, propertyrights.utah.gov. You can come here. This is our main splash page, and again, it's designed to be accessible from your desktop, your tablet, smartphone. Hopefully you can access it from wherever you can so that you can see some of the resources and use those resources here. Oh, we're good? Okay. So looking at the web page, this is kind of just our main splash page. There's a quick brief explanation there. Turning over to the left-hand side, you'll see a resources tab. The first one there is the advisory opinions. We'll come back to that in a minute. The first one we'll look at right now is kind of the about the ombudsman. So each page is kind of designed similarly, has a similar look and feel. When you click on one, and I just clicked on the about the ombudsman's page, you can see there's a brief explanation. Hopefully our computer wants to cooperate here.
A little slow because of the camera here.
Often there's a video describing the topic of the page, and then down at the bottom you'll always find these frequently asked questions, essentially. And you're noticing right now that there's not an answer to the question, but if you click on it, then the answer pops up underneath the question. So for instance, what can the Office of the Property Rights Ombudsman do for me? It talks about, kind of summarizes what educating, negotiating, mediating, arbitrating, issuing advisory opinions. So that's a really helpful resource to have there. Again, on the sidebar, looking down just briefly, The next two areas are summary pages about the topics that our office can help you with: takings and eminent domain, land use and development, and then the next two links talk about the types of dispute resolution tools that we have available to you that Brent mentioned: mediation, arbitration, issuing advisory opinions. The advisory opinions, it's a great resource to have, and we actually, all the advisory opinions that the office has ever done, so that's the top tab on the resource section. They're accessible on our website, and
not all of them, because we're not finished updating the last few that we've done.
Okay, yeah. So maybe there's a few that are most recent that aren't up there yet, but the historic advisory opinions we've done, and hopefully within a few weeks to months, they'll be all updated. There's a few ways you can search them. And advisory opinions, like Brent was saying, they're not precedent, but they do involve questions that municipalities, local governments have had, issues or citizens, issues that they've had. And our office has done our best to provide legal analysis on those questions. And so you can use these as a resource when you have similar questions, hopefully. There's a few different ways you can search for the advisory opinions. If you talk with someone, they said, hey, the Ombudsman's office did an advisory opinion on that. You can go look at it. It's advisory opinion 123. So you can come in here and you can just pull it right up, click on advisory opinion 123. There's a link to download a PDF version so that you can have a printable format if you want to print it off and mark it up and look at it. It's also, the full text is accessible. There's a summary at the top of the opinion. And then if you scroll down, you can read the entire opinion right on the website, which is nice and helpful and very accessible. Going back, if you don't know the exact number of the advisory opinion and what it talks about, you can also search by topic, advisory opinions by topic. So maybe you want to know what questions citizens or governments have had, for instance, about exactions on development. You can come here, you can click on of what the topic is. To exactions on development, and it comes up with a list of all the advisory opinions that our office has done that have involved exactions on development. So you can click on them, and it brings up the advisory opinion again, the same format. You can download a PDF version if you'd like to print it off. So that's a really helpful way to find advisory opinions as well. The last way to look for them is simply to use, and this is a nice feature that's across the website, always along the top, there's going to be this search bar. Say you're looking for an advisory opinion that's involved a city, West Jordan City. You can type in West Jordan, hit enter, and then within the search results, among other things along there, you'll see advisory opinions with the individual numbers. You can click through to those and find out how West Jordan was involved with those advisory opinions, or if you're looking for a specific one that you know is out there on West Jordan, that's a great way to find it. You can also search any keyword, whether it's substantial evidence. You want to know what the standard for substantial evidence is, or what people have said on substantial evidence in the record. Again, you can look at that, advisory opinions that use that term, that phrase. And so that's another helpful way to try to find advisory opinions that will hopefully help you to make decisions you need to make in a well-informed and reasonable way. So that's the sidebar. Up here at the top, there's also some helpful links on the website. Request mediation or arbitration. If you click on that, it'll take you to a form, a PDF that you can fill out to request arbitration with our office. And so you can submit that either via email or fax or different ways, and people can use that to begin the mediation or arbitration process.
Let me interrupt you for a second. Yeah. There's a question from Rod. It says, does the property rights ombudsman track the calls they take from residents in terms of the issue that we're called about and the advice given? It would be nice for cities to know what's being called about. The answer to that question is yes and no. We keep track of our calls, but we don't really have recording them. We do try to log them, and we keep those logs briefly just for reference purposes. And it also helps us create statistics for how many calls we have. But we don't have a way to say we had this many calls about this city or this many calls about this topic. We take a lot of calls, and managing something like that would be a huge time consuming. But we do try to log them, and if we need to find a specific caller or a specific thing, we can sometimes find them if they're fairly recent and we haven't got rid of those things. I just try to keep all though. I try to watch for trends and things like that, but we're not able to track calls quite that way. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Yeah. Moving on with the website, again, you can request an advisory opinion the same way by pulling up a form and filling that out. So if you have a specific legal question that you want answered, maybe you're working with a developer and there's a disagreement about how a certain ordinance should be interpreted, or whether or not a conditional use permit is valid or meets the standards of the conditional use permit, you can come here, fill out the form, indicate what your question is, what your legal question is, provide supporting documentation, and then we'll do our best to do the research and provide an answer that you can use primarily as, like Brent said, a dispute resolution tool to hopefully resolve any disagreements you have.
And one thing that might be helpful for you to know is, as far as requests for advisory opinions, is a lot of cities and counties lately have been requesting advisory opinions on their impact fees before there's a dispute. And that's permissible under our statute, is you can fill out the request for advisory opinion form, send us your impact fee documents, and we can review them, sort of do a surface check to see if they comply with their act, if they're legal and they comply with the act. And that's happening more and more. So if you're considering doing impact fees, that might be something you want to think about doing.
A lot of good resources there. So the next one, request training. You can click on that as well. As Brent said, we conduct the trainings throughout the state. Similar page with a little brief explanation. If you want to be refreshed on what type of examples of what we provide, you can come here to what training does the Ombudsman provide. And this is just an example of certain types of issues we can provide trainings on. But keep in mind that if you have a specific issue that is pertinent to your government entity, give us a call and we can talk about it and try to figure out what type of a training will be best, or create a new training that might help you when you need it. And there's a button there for request training. You could click on that, fill out the form. There's also contact information. You can call and verify that we got that request and can move forward with it. Or you can just call and talk to us initially to request the training. This last tab, the Find the Law button, is really helpful. It's essentially designed to provide the information you need when you need it, hopefully. Whether you're on your phone, in a meeting, you're preparing for a meeting at your computer, wherever you may be, the intent of this section is to provide quick, easy, accessible information to help you make reasoned and informed decisions. So codes and constitutions, that provides links to the federal constitution, state constitution, as well as state the rules that are pertinent to the decision you make on the state and federal levels. Appellate decisions, so these are court decisions that, again, the kind of setup similar to the advisory opinions, but this is the primary source material, right? What the courts have said in the past when issues have gone to litigation. So again, we can look at exactions and impact fee cases. You can click on that and it brings up a list of different cases. You can click on one and it provides kind of a brief explanation of what the case entails. You can see if it's something that is pertinent to you or something you'd be interested in reading, and then if you'd like to, you can go ahead and download a PDF or bring it up in your browser that you can read the full text of the case to kind of get a better idea of what the case talked about, what it held, and how the information can be useful in your specific situation, which is a really nice resource to have. The legal topics section. So this, say you're in a meeting. You're in a planning commission meeting, a board of adjustment. Let's say you're in board of adjustment. You have you need a quick access or refresher on specific topic variances. What what does the variance entail? What are the factors that I have to meet in order to grant a variance from the code so that someone can build a house on their lot because of special circumstances? So when is the variance granted? You can come down to the questions, click on one. There you should all the factors that must be met, right, in order to grant a variance. And then within those factors, there are certain terms that are defined when you're considering and determining whether or not you can grant a variance. What is an unreasonable hardship? You can click on that, and it defines what a reasonable hardship is. What are special circumstances? Indicates what special circumstances are. So this is an awesome resource just to provide really quick information and get what you need when you need it. So in a nutshell, that's all the stuff that we have on the website. There's also obviously the search box at the top. If you can't find something, click on that, and that's helpful. It's a great resource. Give us a call if you have any other questions. So.
Thanks, Jordan. We built this website intentionally to make it workable on like a cell phone or an iPad or something like that. Even on my little phone, that's the website looks great and it comes up really well, you know. And I use it sometimes when I'm out and about and I have a quick question and I just need to punch something up. I can bring up the like Jordan said, the 5 requirements for a variance or any other thing that I can have on my phone and easy. And we were hoping that would be useful to you, you know, when you are in a meeting and you need to find something very quickly. So hopefully you found that informative. If you're interested in finding out and looking more about the kind of things that our office does, you know, spend some time, especially in the advisory opinion section. If you have a dispute, you know, it might be worth looking there to see if that dispute has been asked and answered. Again, you know, you shouldn't consider our advisory opinions precedent. They're not. They don't have any precedential value. They're advisory. You should also keep in mind that what is the law at one point may not still be the law today. So an advisory opinion that we did 7 years ago may not still be decided the same way today. But in any event, you know, sometimes folks find it really helpful to look at our advisory opinions and see if there's been any there that we've asked. And we try to do our research and we try to cover all of our bases with those things. And if you want to find out the reasoning behind some of the things we do, you know, that's where you'll find it. That's it. Here's our contact information. Our website, our email address, our phone number. You know, if there's anything we can do to help you, please give us a call. If there's any way that any questions you have, if you'd like training, if you'd like just to bounce ideas off of us, please call us. That's why we're there. And hopefully when something does happen to you, some dispute comes up and you know, you end up, you know, in danger of maybe having some kind of lawsuit, hopefully if it's something we can help with, turn to us. We'll do what we can. We'll come, we'll mediate it, we'll do whatever we can to try to help you. So that's it. Any further questions, please give us a call. And thanks for participating and thanks for listening to us.
We do have one more question here, Brent, that's come in, actually a couple of questions. Does the Ombudsman's Office get involved in disputes between surface owners and subsurface mineral owners or oil companies or offer assistance in such split estate disputes, or does the Division of Oil, Gas, and Mining get to handle those?
Great question. When someone calls us with this kind of situation, and it does, we do try to answer their question to the best of our knowledge and sort of steer them in a direction. But we don't get involved in disputes between private property owners. We really only get involved in disputes between private property owners and state and local governments. So if the dispute is between the surface owner, the government owns the underlying rights, and it is, you know, there could be a situation where we would get involved in that to try to resolve that dispute. But in most situations, you're probably going to be going to the Division of Oil, Gas, and Mining. We do get a lot of calls from folks who say their neighbor is encroaching on their property or something like that, or and we just can't get involved with that other than asking a few questions. You know, our salary is paid by government money, and you know, that's justified by the fact that we're saving government money by keeping them out of court. You know, the litigation savings is way higher than what they're paying us, but we're not getting paid to be you know, personal attorneys to people. We're getting paid to resolve disputes between government and private property owners. Is there other questions?
A couple more questions. One is, when's the Ombudsman's office going to be in Monticello?
And that's a question from my friend Michael. How are you, sir? And I have to look at my calendar.
Well, while you're looking at your calendar, let me just, there was another question that was asked, is this being recorded so it can be viewed at a later time? And the answer to that is yes. We will record this, and as soon as my IT guy gets back from vacation, we will place it up on our website. It's at utahtrust.gov, and when you go in there, you'll click on or just hover over a section that's called Member Services, and as you look down, it will say webinars, and there are dozens and dozens of these webinar recordings there. It will start out with land use in the title, and so there are a variety of different topics there, anything from eminent domain to residential treatment facilities to conditional uses. Lots of great information that's available there. So did I stretch quite long enough to?
You did. You done good. I just have so much junk on my calendar. I'm pretty sure it's December 2nd. And it's not coming up, but Michael, if you want to shoot me an email or something, I will give you the exact date and time. It's just not coming up on my calendar for some reason. Oh, there it is. It's the 3rd. I found it just in time. December 3rd is when we'll be in Monticello.
I will give you a bit of advice. So if you want to go to Monticello, September is the month to be in Monticello. September is when you should be there, though. So next year, when you go down to,
but I won't be there. I mean, why would you want to go there unless I'm going to be there?
That's true. That's true. Well, very good.
Totally kidding.
We have, I think that we've taken care of all the questions that have been asked there. Thanks everybody for attending, and once again, thanks to Brent and Jordan for giving this presentation today. Make sure you use their services. We appreciate the partnership they have here with the Trust. We have the same. Really, all of us involved have the same goal in mind. Let's avoid these conflicts. Let's avoid lawsuits, and hopefully be able to get along and respect everybody's rights. So, thank you very much, and planning on another in this series in January. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jason. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, I'll stop.